Hey, happy Saturday morning, everyone. It's Marshall. I'm glad you're with me today, this wonderful, wonderful weekend. So, I'm going to wait a couple minutes. Hopefully, we get some of you on. I don't want you to miss this training. This is a very, very important training. And I'm going to go through basically the difference between managers versus leaders and how this can affect and will affect your business and your life. So hope all is well. And as always, on the Stern Truth, we are going to go deep into this. And at any time, if you guys have questions, please post them and we will get to the questions on this call. I will do my best to answer them. Okay. So managers versus leaders. I'm going to go through the differences right now. And then I'm going to share an example with a story that happened with my family several years ago. Okay, guys, one of the things, or probably the thing that can really change your complete business in your life is becoming more of a leader. And 7 years ago, I believe it was, 7 years ago, I became actually a leadership coach. And I don't really talk about the leadership coaching aspect too much because a lot of people really don't understand and don't think about becoming a leader. And leadership is actually a lot of people feel and they don't read leadership books. And a lot of people feel that leadership is meant for government. I'm not going to get into politics here, but government, large organizations, like hospitals, schools, big, huge companies, and not for small business. And when we go through some of these differences and definitions of what I think leadership is, you're going to understand why it's so critical that you guys, if you're not already, become a leader for your organization, even if it's just you, even if you're a solopreneur, and also for your family. Okay, so Tammy Gauthier gave a great definition of the difference between leadership and managers. So I'm going to read it. So thank you, Tammy, for doing that. Big shout out to you. She said the main difference between a leader and a manager is that leaders have people follow them, while managers have people who work for them. I'll read that again. The main difference between being a leader and a manager is that leaders have people who follow them, while managers have people who work for them. So Tammy, that is bang on. There are going to be a few other ones I'm going to go through, and then we're going to get into my personal story and how this can really impact your life and your business. So that, Tammy, that is a perfect example of the differences. Some of the other ones that I want to go by here, and if you do search on Google, there's a whole whack of them. I've taken some of them and I've added some of my own. Managers, okay, one of the biggest differences, think about this one. Managers do what is required. Okay? Managers do what is required. What's required of their position, what's required of the goal of the company, necessarily the project right in front of them. Managers do just what is required, just enough. While leaders do what's needed. Okay, managers do what's required, leaders do what's needed. Leaders do what's needed for the team. Leaders do what's needed for the organization long term. And sometimes that is the difficult things that leaders do. And they sacrifice themselves, but they do what's needed, not just what is required. Managers direct people, while leaders connect with people. Okay, managers direct, leaders connect. Think about this. When I'm mentioning these, think about this not just in your business, but in your life as well. As a parent, are we directing our kids? Are we telling them what to do? Because most parents do that, right? That's what the natural thing is as a parent. is to tell people what to do, tell our kids what to do. But when we connect with them on their level, it's a game changer. I could end this whole live training right now just with that one difference. Managers direct, leaders connect. Start connecting. Start connecting with your kids, your significant other, your community, your friends, your employees if you have employees, your customers, your vendors. Connect with people. And when I mean connect, and we'll do a whole training on connecting, I mean really not just listening to them, but I'm talking about not just hearing them, but listening. And listening on their level. Find out what's important to them. Find out what's going on with them. It's not about I, it's about we. It's about you. Okay? Connect. Okay, managers are more administrators, and they enforce policies and follow processes to meet the organization's objectives, while leaders are more innovators, and they focus on the vision, the long-term vision of the organization. Managers do things right while leaders do the right thing. Managers do things right, leaders do the right thing. Managers say I, leaders say we. Again, connecting. It's a team. It's all about people, not just your business, but your family as well. Managers delegate while leaders empower others. Again, not just in your business, but in your family too. All right? It's not about delegating. It's not about telling. It's not about directing. It's about connecting. It's about empowering others and influencing others. John Maxwell's definition of leadership, John Maxwell's the biggest leadership expert, guru, whatever you want to call him, in the world probably. And he says, leadership is influence, nothing more and nothing less. So if you think about that, all about influence, and not just influencing others. It's not manipulating others. It's influencing them. It's having a vision for their organization and influencing people and your family. Your family is an organization, and influencing the people around you, okay, for the betterment of the organization. It's also influencing yourself. So that's self-leadership, which we can talk about in another session. Okay. Managers say, go. Leaders say, let's go. It's a team, all right? One of my favorite definitions of leadership, and I'm not sure where I heard this or who said this, probably John, but I can't even find out who said it, but they said, leadership is things that you do when you don't think that anyone's watching. I'll repeat that. Leadership is the things that you are doing when you don't think people are watching. So it's the stuff you're doing behind the scenes. Okay? When I was younger, in one of my first jobs, my boss actually it wasn't even my boss, he was a manager in a different department, but he was more of a leader. And he actually sat me down because I was, I think, 19 or 20 years old. And he said to me, he liked to give tips, life advice, life tips. And he said to me, he said, Marshall, he said, if you want to be a leader, if you want people to follow you, do the things, the little things that make a difference. Like if you're going to a seminar, okay, help put the chairs away after. Don't offer, just do. Clean up if you're at a meeting and there's paper on the table, or they're coming in handing out papers, a stack of like 5 different piles of reports or whatever it is. Help out. Don't offer, just take it and help out. And then afterwards, stay behind, clean it up. Okay. In sports, a great analogy is you talk about the unsung leader, the quiet leader in the room. It's the player who shows up to practice and gets on, let's say, on the soccer pitch or on the ice or on the field, they're the first ones on the field and they are the last ones to leave. That's leadership. They're not doing it because people are watching, and maybe people aren't. They're doing it because that's innate within them. They are taking the leadership role for themselves and for the team. Okay. So manager, if you think about it really in the big picture, manager is a title, right? You're a manager, being a manager is a title. But leadership is a mindset. Manager is a title, leadership is mindset. So here's a story I want to, and the other thing is you don't need, and I'm going to explain this in the story, you don't need to be a manager to be a leader. Okay, so, oh gosh, probably 10, just trying to think how old my kids are. Yeah, probably 8, let's say 8, 9 years ago. We were away at Palm Springs. It was winter vacation, and we took our kids to Palm Springs. And my kids were then probably about 6 and 4, something like that, or 7 and 5. And the one thing, we stayed at a resort that had a kids camp. Okay, it wasn't an all-inclusive, it was just a hotel, but it had a kids camp. So during the mornings, you could put them in this little camp because they were young enough for the morning or for the day. And you could, my wife and myself could go have a massage, or go golfing, go play tennis, or just hang by the pool and just relax for a few hours while the kids actually had fun. And it really was a great camp. But the first time we went there, and my daughter had separation anxiety at the time, I'll never forget. It was the second day we actually arrived at the resort, and I bring my son and my daughter in to this. It's like a daycare, right? But it was a camp. Kids go. You can go for like 3 hours or 6 hours or something. And I walk my son and my daughter in. It's like 8:30 in the morning. My daughter's terrified, and there is the camp counselors or the camp managers. There's 2 of them, two probably 19-year-old girls, and they were welcoming everyone, having us parents fill out forms and everything. And there was probably about 8 or 9 kids in the room. It was pretty packed. It was a small room. And so we're doing it. My daughter's like grabbing onto my leg. She's just, and in my arm, she just like, she could sense that, this is not where she wants to be. I'm about to leave. She knows that. And there are all these kids that she doesn't know. It didn't matter that her brother was with her. And the camp counselors, camp managers were so busy doing the paperwork, getting everyone in, making sure all the, T's were crossed, I's were dotted, the phone numbers and everything, medical information from the parents, because a lot of these kids were small. And yet my daughter was just terrified. And then all of a sudden, something amazing happened. So this guy, probably in his mid-20s, walks into the room with a T-shirt, and it has the resort name on it. And his name is Jose. And I hadn't seen him before. I assumed he was another camp counselor or maybe the head manager or whatever. And he walks in within probably 30 seconds of walking into the room. He noticed the struggle that myself and my daughter were having. And because I was about to leave. And he came up to us, introduced himself. He just said his name was Jose. And he started to talk to my daughter. And what he did was he actually kneeled down because she was only like 6 or 7 at the time. And he started to talk with her. He asked her what her name was, what she liked to do, what her favorite color was, TV show, all that sort of thing. And he started to talk about what they do at the camp and all the fun activities that they're going to have. And it was magical because she let go of my pant leg, she let go of my hand, and she started to talk back to him, or not talk back to him, but communicate back to him, which was an amazing thing. And what he was doing was he was connecting with her. He was connecting with her at her level. Instead of standing up at the front of the room and saying, this is what we're doing today, everything's going to be fine, parents leave, and then deal with it, and you have no idea what's going on. He actually, I'm just going to pop up on my screen. Okay, he actually started to get through to her and influence her. He was being a leader. And I just thought this was amazing. This is really cool. I'm glad the camp has this Jose guy to help to run the camp or to help them to work there, because a lot of kids at that age have some separation anxiety, especially when you're in a different city. We were in a different country, right? Because we're here in Canada, that's the United States. So I tell the story because I was able to leave. Like within probably 5 minutes of him showing up in the room, my daughter was fine. And I left. And we went back to that camp, I think 3 or 4 times that week. She was fine to go. We went back year after year for probably 4 or 5 years. And my son and my daughter had an amazing time. Now, the key to this whole story is, hey, Kathy, the key to this whole story is that Jose, okay, was not part of the camp. What he did was he actually connected with my daughter at a level that the camp counselors weren't able to do, because they were busy, enrolling and bringing in the other kids to the camp. So what Jose was able to do was to connect with her and on her level, on what she liked, her likes, talking about the Wiggles and I think back then High Five and Franklin and all the TV shows, and she felt comfortable enough for me to leave. But Jose didn't even work for the camp. Jose was a lifeguard at the resort. Jose was a lifeguard. That's what his title was. He wasn't a manager. He was a lifeguard. But he was more than a lifeguard. He was a leader. Okay? He was a leader. What I was blown away. And I tell the story time and time again. My wife gets a little annoyed with me because she said, enough with the Jose story. It's enough. It's been like 10 years or whatever it's been. But it's the prime example of leader versus manager. I'm not knocking what the girls did, the camp counselors were able to do or not do at the moment. They were busy with the other kids. But within 30 seconds, this guy walked into the room who worked for the hotel and was able to notice and connect that I was having a struggle, my daughter was having a struggle with the separation anxiety, and he was able to connect with her. So she was calm enough and I was able to leave, and she had a great time. And I didn't even know at the time until later that day when I saw him actually out at the pool that he was a lifeguard. And he had just walked in, he was walking into the camp just to drop something off or to get something. That was it. But he took it upon himself. It was a leadership moment. It was a leadership example that I can't beat, because not only that, guys. So I found out he was a lifeguard, and that's great. But that not only was he a lifeguard and a leader, because he was a leader, he had that leader mindset. Every single day you would see him walking around, picking up towels, picking up cups and food from the pool deck. And I asked him, I said, you have a lot of responsibility around you. You have to do this, you have to do that, you have to pick up the towels. He goes, no. There's a pool boy or whatever, pool person who does that. I said, well, why are you doing it? He goes, well, because it's there. I'm walking by, why not just pick it up? See, he, like I said earlier, he was doing things, leadership things, when he didn't think anyone else was noticing. But I noticed. And it blew my mind. And we went back to the resort time and time again, year after year, hoping that Jose would be there. And he was. For the next 3 or 4 years, he was there. And that's a story that I will continue to tell. And guys, again, if you have any questions, please post them. But he will continue. I will continue to tell because it's what leadership is. So in your business and in your life, as I said before, the difference between managers and leaders are connect with people. Don't delegate. Don't tell. It's not about I. It's about we. It's about you. Okay? Connect. Find out what's important to them. Find out what's going on with them, whether it's in your company or in your family or in your community. Find out what's important and connect because it's about all of us. Okay? And leaders, the best kind of leaders, okay, are the ones who actually don't just have followers, but have leaders behind them. The best kind of leaders are the ones that are actually developing other leaders. So think about that in your business, but really think about that in your family as well. If you can develop your kids to be leaders, that's the best kind of leader. All right. And when you have that leadership mindset for yourself, first and foremost, okay, it starts with you. And then you bring it out to everyone around you, your business, your life, your community. Become the leader that you're meant to be. We need more leaders in this world. And again, it's not a title, it's a mindset. It's a mindset. All right. So if you have no other questions, you can again post them at any time. I think that's about it. Remember the Jose story, guys, and go back and watch this video again. Tell people the story because it's really all about the things you do when you don't think people are watching. Get out there, become the leader you're meant to be. Become the leader people need you to be. Okay? So that's how we'll end it today. We'll see you next time. But until next time, as I said, be the leader people need you to be. And have an amazing weekend, guys.